So, Borderlands 4 is here. And if you've ever wanted to be shot at by a bandit with 6 arms while your gun screams motivational quotes at you, congratulations, your time has come. Borderlands is back, louder and more chaotic than ever. And we spent some real time with it to see what's changed, what's improved, and what still makes us question our life choices. This is Before You Buy from GameSceneWOW. I'm Dustin, and yeah, I've been knee-deep in the loot and laser fire to bring you some real impressions of how this game holds up. Let's start with the basics. Borderlands 4 drops you into the fringes of the galaxy. New planets, new factions, and the same old space capitalist nightmare. The corporations are still awful, the guns are still unreasonably creative, and the enemy AI still occasionally runs straight into walls. Feels like home. There are 4 new Vault Hunters this time around. I started with Rocco, who is basically a cyborg boxer with anger issues. He punches through enemies like they owe him money. There's also Elora, a stealth-based assassin type with deployable drones and some fun gadgets. Each character has 3 skill trees again, but now with even more modifiers and subclass options layered in. It's deep, it's flexible, and if you're into min-maxing, you're going to have a field day. If you're not into spreadsheets, you might be overwhelmed. Fair warning, gunplay is sharp. Movement feels tighter than Borderlands 3. Sliding, mantling, melee, all of it just clicks better. The new combat flow is faster, more vertical, and encourages non-stop action. 1 second you're shotgunning a psycho off a cliff, the next you're wall running into a gravity warp zone. Speaking of which, yes, there are now Entropy Zones. These are areas where the laws of physics start breaking down. Gravity fluctuates, time slows, and bullets curve mid-flight. It's wild. It's also buggy. I've had a few moments where my character floated mid-air, while enemies just watched me like I was a UFO. Cool concept, slightly messy execution. Visually, the game's a step up. That signature comic book style is still here, but there's way more depth now. Shadows are punchier, particle effects are cranked up, and the environments feel way more dynamic. There are whole sequences that look genuinely cinematic, even when someone's yelling about cheese grenades in the background. Performance-wise, I tested on a mid-range PC, and things were smooth. Borderlands 3 had some launch struggles, but Borderlands 4 is in much better shape out of the gate. DLSS 3 and FSR 3 are supported, frame rates were steady, and outside of the occasional dip during full-screen particle chaos, no major issues. On the technical front, this is probably the most stable launch the series has had. Now let's talk about the writing, because this is where opinions tend to split. If you like the humor in Borderlands 2, but thought 3 tried a little too hard, Borderlands 4 dials it back a bit. It's still got that chaotic, irreverent tone, but it feels slightly more focused. Some jokes still miss the mark, but others actually landed and got a laugh out of me. There's still plenty of bizarre side quests, pop culture riffs, and weaponized sarcasm, but less of the constant shouty energy that wore people down in the last game. The story itself? So far, not bad. You're dealing with a new megacorporation that's trying to unlock ancient alien tech with questionable methods. There's a mysterious new vault that may or may not be sentient, and a villain who's more subtle and sinister than the usual screamers we've dealt with before. It's a nice shift in tone. Still campy, still over the top, but with just a little more control. And of course, the guns. Gearbox is clearly gone. What if we made everything explode, but also gave it feelings? One gun I found shoots corrosive saw blades and insults you if you miss. Another one sings when you reload. There's even a launcher that fires smaller guns, which then fire more bullets. The creativity is off the charts. Whether they're practical is another story, but that's not really the point, is it? Now let's get into one of the biggest reasons people keep coming back to Borderlands: co-op. Borderlands 4 continues the tradition of full drop-in, drop-out 4-player co-op. And yes, it's still absolute chaos in the best way possible. Whether you're playing online or split-screen, it mostly holds up. Enemy scaling seems more balanced this time around. No more, your buddy's 2 levels ahead, and now you're a walking sponge situations. The new ping and squad systems actually make coordination easier, especially with how fast-paced everything is. You can tag loot, call out targets, and even vote to skip cutscenes if someone's in a rush. Imagine that. Respecting each other's time in 2025. Progress finally syncs better across players too, so you won't have to redo a bunch of missions just because you were player 2 in someone else's world. Took them long enough. Now if you're a solo player, don't worry. The campaign works just fine on your own. It scales well, side missions give decent rewards, and the companion banner from NPCs helps fill the gap. Though if you're not into the writing, you might end up turning down the volume and letting the guns do the talking. Speaking of content, the world design has gotten a noticeable upgrade. The game features a semi-open hub system. Not quite one giant open world, but bigger interconnected zones than in previous games. Each one feels a bit more lived in, with more side stories, environmental storytelling, and fewer copy-paste bandit camps. There's even a new traversal system that lets you unlock different movement tools, like a grappling launcher or a hoverboard made out of junkyard tech, which actually make exploration feel fun instead of just running from one map marker to the next. There's also a new faction reputation mechanic, which adds some depth beyond shooting everything that moves. You can earn favor with different factions by completing objectives, unlocking bonuses like better loot drops, rare weapon mods, or even calling in support during big fights. It's not super deep, but it does give you a reason to explore and engage with side content more actively. Plus, it helps distract from the constant loot management, which yes is still a thing. Inventory is once again a blessing and a curse. You'll be swimming in loot 5 minutes into the game. Guns, shields, trinkets, cosmetic items, class mods, it's non-stop. The menus are cleaner this time, but sorting through junk is still a bit of a chore. There's a new favorite system and auto-sell options at vending machines, which help, but if you're the kind of player who agonizes over stats, prepare to spend a lot of time in menus. Now let's talk difficulty and enemy variety. Normal mode is pretty forgiving early on, but spikes up later, especially in boss fights, which now feature more multi-phase encounters and actual mechanics beyond shoot it until it falls over. Some of them are surprisingly creative. One boss kept teleporting me into a dream sequence mid-fight, which was both confusing and cool. Enemy types are more diverse, too. Beyond your standard psychos and mech suits, you've got mutated fauna, corporate enforcers with fancy tech shields, and these new null-walkers, glitchy, corrupted enemies that phase in and out of combat and mess with your HUD. Fighting them feels like playing inside a broken arcade machine, and I kinda love it. As for bugs, there's some. A few visual hiccups here and there, especially during cutscenes. I had a couple of audio drops, and one crash to desktop when trying to fast travel out of a boss room. But overall, nothing catastrophic yet. For a launch title in 2025, that's practically a miracle. And yes, it runs well on Steam Deck. You'll probably have to tweak the settings down to medium or low, but it's playable and still looks decent. Frame rate hovered around 40 to 50 in most areas, which is honestly good enough if you're couch gaming with snacks. Alright, let's get into what happens after the main campaign. Because Borderlands 4 doesn't just stop when the credits roll. If you're looking for something to do beyond story missions and side quests about sentient vending machines, the endgame actually has some legs. First up are the Vault Trials, randomized combat gauntlets with mutators, wave-based enemies, and loot rewards at scale with how much chaos you're willing to suffer through. It's a mix between traditional horde modes and roguelike elements. Think randomized enemy sets, temporary buffs and debuffs, and a loot chest at the end that's either full of dreams or disappointment. Each trial is themed. One might take place entirely in zero gravity, another with only elemental enemies. The modifiers can be brutal, but they push you to experiment with different builds, which gives these trials some actual replayability beyond, do the same arena again with more health bars. There's also Endless Chaos mode, which replaces Mayhem mode from Borderlands 3. Here, you can crank the difficulty across multiple chaos tiers, each one adding layers of insanity like faster enemy aggression, global effects, or loot re-rolling mechanics. It sounds familiar because it is, but it's been refined. It's no longer just everything has more HP. Now it's everything has more HP and they're on fire, and also maybe they teleport now. Some players will love the challenge. Some might find it a bit grindy. But at least this time, Rewards feel more proportional to the chaos. Legendary drop rates scale better, and there's now a system for target farming certain loot types or brands by doing specific missions or challenges. You want a Hyperion sniper that slows time when it reloads? There's a way to increase your odds without relying 100% on Aringasus. Now about build diversity. Each Vol Hunter has access to 3 major skill trees, each with branching perks within perks. You can now pick passive buffs, alternate abilities, and even mix subclasses by hitting certain milestones. You can respec freely, and once you hit endgame, there's a new loadout lab where you can store and instantly swap entire builds. Gear, mods, perks, the works. It's perfect for switching from solo play to co-op, or just trying out something completely different without digging through 20 inventory menus. Customization overall is strong this time around. Tons of cosmetics drop throughout the game. Character skins, emotes, weapon charms, alternate ability effects. You can even recolor your guns now, which is completely unnecessary and yet deeply satisfying. There's a surprising amount of effort put into letting you tweak your Vault Hunter to look like they just fell out of a Mad Max circus. And now, let's talk monetization. Borderlands 4 isn't too aggressive with it. At least not yet, but it is present. There's a premium shop. You can buy cosmetic bundles, themed weapon skins, character outfits, and a rotating stock of emotes and finishers. So far, nothing is pay to win, and there's no gameplay lock content behind paywall. Still, it's a little disappointing to see some of the cooler skins only available through real money packs, especially considering how many of us still remember when Borderlands 2 just gave you new heads for completing challenges. There's also the Season Pass, which includes 4 planned story expansions, plus early access to future vault trials and additional cosmetic rewards. Gearbox has promised the expansions will be narrative-driven, with new zones, characters, and bosses. That's great, but if you played Borderlands 3's DLCs, you know the quality can really swing. Some were hilarious and well-written. Others felt like filler episodes. Hopefully this time around, they maintain a higher bar across the board. Oh, and let's not ignore the live service elements. There are limited-time events, mini-boss hunts, community challenge weeks, stuff that encourages you to log in regularly. Again, nothing evil here, but it's clear Gearbox is leaning harder into keeping players engaged long-term, rather than just letting us binge for 30 hours and move on. There's even a daily spin feature in Sanctuary now, where you can win buffs, loot, or occasionally just a joke. One time I got a pie. Literally just a pie. So with all that said, let's hit the big question. Should you buy Borderlands 4? If you're a fan of the series, this one is a strong return to form. It plays better than ever, the world design has evolved, and the tone feels more balanced compared to Borderlands 3's meme explosion. It's not subtle, it's not sophisticated, but it is entertaining, and when everything clicks, the gunplay, the music, the pacing, it delivers the kind of chaotic fun few other looter shooters can match. If you're new to the series, this isn't a bad place to start. You'll miss some callbacks, but the onboarding is smoother, and the early missions do a solid job of introducing mechanics without overwhelming you. Just be ready for a game that leans hard into its own weirdness. Not every joke lands. Not every system is perfectly tuned, but it's packed with content, energy, and style, and most importantly, it knows exactly what it is. So yeah, Borderlands 4 isn't a revolution, but it's a confident, polished evolution. A loot-fueled power fantasy that doesn't waste your time and gives you plenty to do, whether you're a casual explorer, a hardcore builder, or just here for the explosions and claptrap cameos. That's going to do it for this episode of Before You Buy on GameSceneWOW. I'm Dustin, and now that this script is done, I'm going right back into farm that legendary launcher that shoots cluster grenades shaped like tiny vending machines. Because that's where I'm at now. If you're playing the game, let me know how it's going for you. Are you deep into Chaos level 10 already? Or just here for the story and the vibes? Drop a comment and let's talk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.